Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and this is going to be a fun podcast because it's a 4 questions podcast, and I have the filmmaking team that made The Perfect First Date, so I'm going to briefly talk about that film. The Perfect First Date. I've got Christopher J. Hall and Tommy Dickie here. Hey, you two.
Hello.
So the previous podcast, we talked all about their lives, their careers, their film. The Perfect First Date was at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2022. It took home 3 awards, including Best Short Comedy, Best Supporting Actor for Thomas Hobson, and Outstanding Performance by a Cast, which includes Tommy Dickie. Chris directed it. You two produced it together. Tommy wrote it. Excellent filmmaking collaboration. And if you want to learn all about it, listen to the podcast before this. If you want to watch it, editor's note, every time I say Hi TV, I should have actually said TVHi. The service has been rebranded. It is called TVHi, as in watchtvhi.com, TVHi. And you can learn more about it on social media if you go to @watchtvhi. And that's always TVHi. Back to the podcast. On a smart TV device, just search for HITV and download that fucker and enjoy. That's a streaming service that is devoted to films that are great, indie films that are great, and that are even better high. and I don't know. I bet The Perfect First Date it's a superb film, and it's probably good high. I don't actually really know, but I know it couldn't hurt.
I don't know if anyone's watched The High yet.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't know. We had to find out.
But it couldn't hurt. I mean, especially with the some of the fun parts. So anyway,
it's not a movie where I'd say you gotta watch this sober.
Agreed. All right, so this podcast, like I said, is about the 4 questions, the Discover Indie Film questions. I blew that. The Discover Indie Film 4 questions are 3 favorite films, an underrated film, an overrated film, and a lesser-known film that people should seek out. I happen to know that Tommy is a film aficionado. Chris has done the podcast before, so if you want to listen to his list, you'll have to just find that podcast by going to discoverindiefilm.com and looking it up. But he's looking up stuff now. But Tommy's a film aficionado. He has a film review website and Instagram and all kinds of cool shit. In fact, I almost gave away. Chris doesn't know, but I hit him up. There are reviews on the Discover Indie Film website. There's DIF reviews.
Oh, nice.
And I asked Tommy, hey, can I just take your videos and like steal them so there's reviews of Hollywood shit, because I don't have time to watch Hollywood shit because I get like 1,600 films a year for the 2 festivals, and it's
crazy.
Plus what gets submitted to High TV. So at this point, like my eyes are just wiped. I can't watch it. Plus Hollywood films aren't that good most of the time.
Well, agree to disagree.
So
but
I would rather focus on indies who are trying than that. So
you're a great man.
So anyway, hopefully Tommy's contributions will be on the Discover Indie Film website someday as a reviewer. But as a reviewer now, and someone who does all kinds of great stuff with film reviews and Oscar predictions and shit, you want to just you want to just jump right in and tell us 3 favorite films?
Oh my lord, 3 favorite films. Oh. Is Chris going to share as well, or is it in the archives only?
He's done it before, but feel free.
Sure.
I'll throw in
the short version,
some
or
of my picks, sure.
Okay, but it's good to know that you've already done this. So if I'm talking like a fuck ton more, then I don't have to feel like an asshole about it. Okay,
go for it.
Well, I do have a top 47 favorite films ranked. It is not a multiple of 5, because every time I add a movie, I don't want to have to subtract a movie just to keep it as a multiple of 5. And why are we so 5 and 10 obsessed in our lives, right? It doesn't make any sense. So I do have a top 3, but we got to think about why we're answering this question on a podcast. And if I'm going to talk about 3 movies that are like movies that inspire me the most, then I don't know that my top 3 would be the ones to say. So I'm going to start by saying my 3rd favorite movie of all time is The Shawshank Redemption. I think it's the greatest film ever made. Objectively, but that's still inherently subjective. My 2nd favorite movie is Forrest Gump. And my 1st favorite is a movie called Heart and Souls with Robert Downey Jr. I was just telling Chris about this, and he's like, what the hell is that movie?
I'm thinking of Angels on Their Shoulders, where Robert Downey Jr. and Sean Penn are like 1920s prisoners in a jail.
No, that's not this movie. What is that? We Are Angels or
We Are Angels,
something like that.
Yeah, and they go to like
Right.
they disguise themselves as priests, Catholic priests, to escape jail.
Yeah,
You know
isn't
what I'm
that
talking
Chris Penn and not Robert Downey Jr.? Isn't that like, or sorry, Sean Penn and maybe Chris Penn?
It was Sean Penn. I remember it was Sean
Definitely
Penn.
Sean Penn.
No,
I wanna say Robert-
yeah, but not, was it not Sean Penn
I'm
and Chris
looking
Penn?
it up. I'm looking it up. Hold on.
Anyway, while you're looking it up, Heart and Souls is not that, but it is Robert Downey Jr. and four ghosts that are, so you're kind of close, but it's a comedy. Four ghosts that are stuck around him, and he's the only one that can see them or hear them, and they use him to resolve their unfinished lives before going to heaven. And it is so beautiful, and it like makes me cry every time I see it. And I show it to friends, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is such a gem! I feel like I've looked inside your soul." It is a comedy, but it's like not. It's so much more. It's a like romantic dramedy because there's some romance. He's got a girlfriend, Elizabeth Shue, but it's like ghost redemption, beautiful story, everything. It's
Who's
perfect.
the lead?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. I love it. It's just like, it's so cheesy. I would not like submit it to the AFI, but it's like, it's that movie where I'm like, this movie is mine. It inspires me. It fuels me. It like inspires me not as an artist, but like as a person. You know what I mean?
Robert
And
Downey
it's just
Jr. just
beautiful.
made that documentary about
His dad. Yeah, it's supposed to be good.
I thought from the trailer that it looked really kind of cheesy and like overly sentimental. Dude, I bawled. I cried.
Cool.
It was so good.
He's amazing.
He's so talented.
I gotta see that.
Yeah.
I gotta put that on my list of movies to watch for this year.
By the way, I feel like mixing shit up and saying, do you want to add a couple more to? Because the only reason it says 3 favorites, and I love that the way you approach it, because it's not name the 3 best films of all time. It's 3 films that you just love so much they're your favorites.
Right.
So since you have 47, I feel like
I am
you
going to
kinda
name 2
deserve
more.
to
I
go a
did
little
prepare
longer.
to talk about
47
2
is a
more.
good number to have. It's a kind
Want
of
me
an
to name all
abstract
4? No,
random.
okay.
It's a prime number.
It is a prime number.
Sure.
I like it. Well, it was 46 until a couple weeks ago.
You're a
It was
mathematician.
46 until
I figured
October.
you would have some kind of like
Yes.
reason.
No, it's not
No.
that at all. It's that
Okay,
I saw
okay.
Triangle of Sadness, and I was like, I'm adding this to my top list. So I went from 46 to 47. Although I also added 2 other movies and took off 2 others. It didn't matter. It just was what I felt like doing at that time. So like those are my 3 favorites. But like when I think about like what is my favorite as like a lover of movies who wants to talk about movies and the art of it, I want to mention my 9th favorite movie, The Truman Show, and my 11th favorite movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And it is random that those are both Jim Carrey movies, but
Not
As-
random. Clearly, I mean,
well, not totally random. I love Jim Carrey.
Carrey's
but
amazing.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Even
And
at
I love
his
him.
worst,
and he
he's
kind of
so
was my
good.
idol. But like
Yeah.
the fact that he was kind of my idol in the mid '90s, and I loved like Dumb and Dumber a lot and watched it a
course.
million times.
Cable Guy.
is like unrelated to my love for these 2 movies. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
Cable Guy, no. Not
Come
for me.
on.
No, not for me.
Come on.
No, not for
Cable
me.
Guy's great.
No. But I appreciate you.
Well, and Eternal Sunshine is one of the greatest cinematic
one of the
achievements,
greatest cinematic
of,
achievements
all
of all time. Agreed. So I'll talk about that first. In that I was saying on the other podcast that I love when film can really play with how the camera is used and how the medium of film can be used to serve the story and the art of the filmmaking, right? And I think so often stories are just told and filmed in a good way with good cinematography, but Eternal Sunshine uses the actual, like, tangible technical elements of a camera and lighting and the creativity of what set pieces can do and be to make us really feel like we are living inside this person's experience of losing his memories. And to me, that enhanced the experience of that story so much that it inspires me as a filmmaker tremendously. And the only reason it's not higher on my favorite movie list is because of the subplot with Elijah Wood, who is just not a good actor in my mind.
Shots fired.
Shots are
Yeah.
fired, and I had a line with him on that show Wilfred on FX, and he was lovely. He's a lovely man, and actually more attractive in person, I would say. But
Big proponent of indie film.
I applaud him as a human. I
Yes.
just don't love his acting skills.
Fair.
Sorry, Elijah, if you're listening.
I'm
That's
sure he's
happening.
listening.
I'm sure.
I'm sure he's listening. Yeah.
He has a Google alert
Yeah.
that does
I
transcripts
know.
of podcasts.
He's going to call the producers of Wilfred and be like, retroactively fire that man with that one line by the elevator. I made him laugh that day, by the way. It was funny. Anyway, not worth the time of that story. Good guy. the subplot, though, of that and Mark Ruffalo, who I also don't like, and Kirsten Dunst, who I also don't like, and Tom Wilkinson, who I love, the four of them, that subplot I found to be an A-. Good, but it's an A-. So when we're comparing all these movies...
Kirsten Dunst, not on your faves
No.
list? Really?
No, I thought she was atrocious in The Power of the Dog. Utterly atrocious.
The Power of the Dog was a bad movie. Flat out.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Come on.
I thought it was a fine movie. Yeah.
Why are people talking about this as the best picture?
It's on my list of... I think I'm not going to talk about it, but for the most overrated film that I could
Benedict
consider
Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked him a lot when he was doing English TV, but then now he's doing all these like big fancy American movies, and it's like, bro, come on.
I know.
How far can you go with a name like Benedict Cumberbatch?
Do you pronounce it Cumberbatch?
I do, just for
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Cody Smith-McPhee I thought was wonderful in Power of the Dog, and there were things that I appreciated and enjoyed about it. But overall, yes, very stale and boring.
Yeah.
It's very stale and very boring. And Kirsten Dunst is a major reason of why, in my mind. And Jesse Plemons, too.
Funny thing I want to throw in, I did not even remember that subplot from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
This is the thing. Yeah, so it's like if I could choose parts of movie, like that is like maybe my favorite 80% of a movie of all time. Do you know what I mean? Like, the other part is pulls it down. Truman Show, unreal, so good.
Good subplots in that movie.
Good subplots, good.
Ed Harris, a great supporting role.
Harris is incredible. Paul Giamatti next to him over his shoulder or under his shoulder on the computer. Laura Linney's great.
Laura Linney is amazing in that.
Noah Emmerich is great as the best friend. The whole supporting cast. Jim Carrey crushes it. But that movie, a more direct inspiration for me in my art is I like to make... I don't know that I have the skills. Well, I think with Dickie Awards, I do a little bit of what Michel Gondry did in Eternal Sunshine in terms of being creative about what can do what with the camera. But in terms of my writing, I lean into things that play with who the audience is in relation to the characters and how the camera helps aid in that relationship. And just playing with things that are meta and break the fourth wall a bit. And Truman Show does a fair... I mean, they don't really break the fourth wall, but they break the fourth wall within the movie. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I just find that movie to be so rich and layered and genius in its structure and social commentary with it in conjunction with the art of it. And it largely inspired my work on this short film, The Perfect First Date, Watch and See How Perfect It Is, which after that movie, a friend of mine was like, you know why you made this movie? It's The Truman Show. And I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even thought of it. It's like my love of that movie, which he knows is a thing. I mean, my AOL Instant Messenger name in the 90s was, because we all had that only in the 90s. Well, I guess it lasted into the 2000s, but no, it was Trumanian.
Oh, wow.
After I saw the movie in 98, I had to create an AIM name. Like the next year, that's when that became a thing, AIM. Wow. And Trumanian is a member of the planet Trumania, invented by Truman looking into his own mirror. I was a big fan of this movie.
This goes deep. Yeah.
It does go deep. But the reason it's not higher on my list is that my list is largely influenced by movies that really move me, and that movie is moving, but it's not like Shawshank level in that regard, or Heart and Souls level in that regard. So that brings it down to number 9. But it's like an important film to me.
And I want to jump in and add that it's a Peter Weir film. And I think he might be one of the greatest, least acknowledged directors of all time. I don't think he ever made a bad film.
Yeah,
I didn't care for Master and Commander, but I hear you.
That was not really on my radar. I didn't hate it. Yeah, ships. Yeah. Anything with big wooden ships. They're never interesting, are they?
Hard to film. Yeah.
I'm sure. I've never been on a wooden ship set. I can't corroborate that. But.
Any set on the ocean, I think, is going to be difficult.
I mean, Ridley made a boring one, right? Like 1492 or whatever. Like, it's just boring to watch ships on the ocean. It's just everyone has this romanticism for it, and it's no, sorry.
Although Game of Thrones did have some cool naval battles and things like that. Dragons. Throw little dragons in there.
With the ships? I never watched any Game of Thrones.
Oh my God.
Shocking.
I'm a movie guy. We're here to talk about movies, you guys.
I will watch anything with a dragon in it. Even that Christian Bale thing, whatever it was. Reign of Fire, something like that. Anything with a dragon, I seem to think is just well made. I don't know.
There have been some bad dragons out there, though. I mean...
Dragonheart. I am the last one. I never saw that. That's my best Sean Connery.
Yeah. Sean Connery. Rest in
What
peace.
time did Sean Connery get to
Wimbledon, tennis.
Very good.
I love that
like
joke.
it.
I tell that joke myself. We're soulmates.
But
All right, would you want to approach the underrated list?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
go
you
for
have a-
it.
yeah. Or what?
No, I'm
all right,
happy to
all right.
kind of comment on yours.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Although you could quickly name one or two and just see if they line up with what you said a year ago.
Oh, I doubt that they would. I definitely was at the time binging some like old movies, like Some Like It Hot and The Apartment and things like that. But I just, I'll say one that I just watched. I just showed my son Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like reissued as a 40th anniversary. And it was hilarious. And my son,
so
who's
good.
8, was laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
And is now saying the night to say neat all over the place. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just like a lot, talking about absurdity. There's a lot of absurdity going on in that. But also, you know, like just brilliant filmmaking, people who are doing creative things with like small resources. The movie opens with 2 guys pretending to run around on horseback with the other one clapping a coconut together.
Yes.
And they go on an extended like 2-minute dialogue about how did you get a coconut here? What bird carried it over? And it's like, this is crazy.
It's genius.
It is
an
genius.
absolute
It's
genius
genius,
movie.
yeah.
And as to a topic we had in the previous podcast, I believe the coconut hooves was because they couldn't afford horses.
I'm sure.
It was their
course.
workaround.
Oh, really?
They didn't
Yeah.
have the budget for horses, so they said, "Well, fuck it, let's just clank coconuts together, and it'll sound like horses." And then someone else in the writers'
So
room, and
funny.
that brilliant brain trust of Monty Python.
It does sound just like horses. The 2
Yeah.
coconuts together, it sounds
They kill it.
impossibly like
Yeah.
horses.
We used to always buy coconut gelato that came in a coconut husk, and I saved them all for that purpose.
Yeah.
And the wife and kid both thought I was nuts. But there's a Ziploc full of half coconut shells somewhere in that kitchen, waiting for the right time when people are over here and will recreate Holy Grail with me. So anyway,
I mean, happy to. Don't they do that in Much Ado About Nothing as well? Michael Keaton as Dogberry. Do you remember that?
Which
He's
Much
like
Ado About Nothing is that?
the 93 maybe, Kenneth Branagh.
The Kenneth
and
Branagh
Emma
one?
Thompson.
Has
Yeah.
Michael Keaton in it?
Michael Keaton is Dogberry, the like
forgot
dumb
about
detective guy. And
That's
I think his
Denzel is like the
Yeah,
lead in
it's
that,
done.
right?
Well, he's
Yeah.
the third main character,
Okay, yeah.
Don Pedro.
Right, Don
Not to
Pedro,
nerd out on
Don
the
Pedro.
cast side.
Kenny
role
had to be
sizes.
the lead, right? Kenny was all about
Yeah,
he
I mean,
was
it's
always
sort of a
the lead.
tie him and
He's
Beatrice.
the main lead, yeah. But
yeah,
that was
yeah,
also
yeah.
the movie where he like met Emma Thompson,
yeah.
right? And they fell in love and like
maybe because
they
they
got married
they did
and they were together for like a long time.
they were together for a long time.
Yeah.
They did a movie called Dead Again
Dead
together,
Again.
which
Was that before that?
I would guess that it was. I would guess Dead Again 92.
Dead Again is an underappreciated gem.
It is a good movie.
For the
Yeah,
list.
Robin Williams is great in that
Yeah,
movie.
that is a great
right?
movie, yeah.
He's in there, right? Derek Jacobi.
Derek Jacobi, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't remember Robin Williams in it.
He's in
but
a freezer scene.
He
They're like
gets
in a
hypnotized
freezer, yeah.
in it, right? I mean, the whole thing is like a.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. I
Hypnosis.
saw it twice in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was 92 and Much Ado 93. But I might be wrong.
By the way, another hot take:
Oh.
Belfast, not my favorite.
Oh, I loved it.
Not
Absolutely
great.
loved it.
I didn't think it was very-
Absolutely loved it.
Everybody was obsessed with it last year. I was kind of like,
I loved it.
okay, yeah,
I hear you.
yeah.
Agree to disagree.
Right, so Holy Grail, Monty
All right.
Python, and the Holy Grail favorite.
Yeah.
Belfast, not a favorite.
Not
Yeah.
a fave. Yeah,
Not a fave? All
Not
right.
a fave. Hot
All
take.
right.
You heard it here first.
Well, you say that's overrated. I'll go to underrated.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Heart and Souls. This is question 2, right? Underrated movie?
Yes.
Heart and Souls is, of course, that's worth mentioning because it's only 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. My favorite movie of all time. Ron Underwood, misunderstood. I don't know. Most of his movies are garbage, but yeah.
Ron Underwood, he's in Office
Yeah.
Space, right?
That's Ron Livingston.
Oh, Ron Livingston.
Underwood, the director, directed Mighty Joe Young, the gorilla movie with Charlize
okay.
Theron.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
remember what else he did. So he's not like an accomplished. Well, he's not a director who's made. It's funny that the director of Mighty Joe Young directed my favorite movie. I recognize that this is a unique choice for a favorite
Yes.
movie,
That
and
was
not
a
representative.
bold gorilla movie, though. Very bold.
Oh, very bold.
With
Okay.
Brad Pitt.
Was Brad Pitt in that? I didn't
Mighty
see
Joe
it.
Young.
I didn't see it.
Is the human lead.
You're thinking of Meet Joe Black?
Meet Joe Black. Meet Joe Black.
I'm really good at knowing what
I'm
wrong
really
movie you're
getting-
thinking.
I'm getting a lot of bad misfires here.
But like, it was the pitch meeting was, what if King Kong was boring? Maybe we could just make a slow film.
Yeah.
Instead of swatting down planes, we could just whatever. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I just remember Charlize and some guy, not Brad Pitt, but I don't remember who.
Yeah.
Running through the woods, Bill Pullman or something.
I've met Charlize. She is one of those people who is so incredibly attractive.
So
that it's like it's a radiation effect.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous, and
I appreciate that as a gay man.
Yeah, I met her because she had a kid. She has a son who was in our like baby group or whatever. Cool. So we met her a few times. She's like a powerful presence. Yeah.
Cool.
Tangent.
Was she nice?
She's lovely. Not nice, but like,
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Her value is her appearance, I think.
She's amazing. She's like
she's amazing.
You bow down to her. I mean,
right,
she's like
right.
She's one of the top greatest female actresses, I think, of the 20th century.
She's good.
Yeah.
Monster's incredible. Okay. I mean, for underrated, I'm tempted to say something like Dumb and Dumber, although it's 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I guess it's not too underrated. Or The Net with Sandra Bullock.
Dumb and Dumber is not underrated. Everybody
fine.
loves
I know,
that movie.
but
great.
it's like it's
The Net with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, it was my third favorite movie for a little while until I learned how to like understand how movies can be good.
Yeah.
But it deserves better than 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I'm gonna say The Fall. This is a 2008 movie by Tarsem, the director.
That. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, the director of
The Cell.
The Cell with Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio, 2000, and he did like Mirror Mirror and other bigger dumb things. But this was his movie that he worked on for like years. It was shelved for a couple of years. It's only 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is fresh. So like it's sort of a push to call it underrated, but it's definitely under noticed, and it's beautiful. Have you guys seen it?
I don't think so.
I have an embarrassing admission, which is I love The Cell. My wife loves The Cell, and I got a copy of The Fall so we could watch it, and it's been
sitting there
for about 8 years,
wow,
unwatched.
Wow. 8 years.
I'm telling you, watch it.
I might have grabbed a copy of it because someone on this podcast named it in their top 3, and I'm like,
oh wow.
I forgot that Tarsem made more films. Like, we've got to watch The Fall.
It is beautiful. It is definitely bold. It's got a vibe that at times borders on grating. Not a constant vibe, but there are moments with a vibe that's a little. But it's visually stunning. It uses the canvas of film in a shockingly gorgeous way, amazing cinematography, and the way the storytelling unfolds is just genius. And the structure of it, as you learn, as the structure of it sort of unfolds before your eyes, is really, really cool. It is a little bit like what's that movie? The Adventures of Baron Munchausen.
That's a Robin Williams.
It's like yeah. It's like that meets Pan's Labyrinth meets Princess Bride, but it's indescribable. It's none of those things. You know what I mean? Love it. Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
I like that. Close to a Terry Gilliam reference.
Yeah,
Therefore,
Terry Gilliam.
Python is just breathing through here.
Yeah. Gilliam's in our blood.
Baron Munchausen is a great movie.
Yeah, it's
very
a wackadoo.
weird,
That's a
very
wackadoo movie.
Yeah. But I think underappreciated. It's one of those movies that's kind of polarizing.
Yeah.
People don't like it as much as they do like it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the structure of The Fall is similar to Princess Bride in that it's like someone telling a story to someone else, and most of the movie is like that story, right? But the way that the story that's being told relates to the relationship between those two characters, the storyteller and the listener, is just much more fleshed out than in Princess Bride, as opposed to just like a mere like table of contents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the filmmaking is beautiful both inside and outside of that story. And the inside of the story is like a big sort of Arabian Nights type style epic.
I'll check it out.
It's great. Really great. That's my answer to question 2.
Excellent. Well, question 3 is going to be a lot of fun because that's overrated. And don't hold back if you need to name more than one,
We're going to have some burned bridges going on.
I know. I mean, the thing is that like active memory only does so much. I'm sure there are some passive memory answers to this question that may surface where it's like, oh my Lord. The first thing on my list is Saving Private Ryan.
Overappreciated?
Yes.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan is.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
That is a great movie.
And here's the thing: I would give it a B or B plus.
Well,
but so maybe
do you think people think of it as like Spielberg's greatest movie? I don't think. I think
no.
People think of Schindler's List as his greatest movie.
Yeah, they do.
And that's an overrated film.
I believe it. I saw it once. I don't really remember.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if you're kidding or not. But I mean, I saw it once. I don't remember.
I'm actually
Schindler's
not
List is
kidding.
gorgeous.
Okay,
I was born Jewish, so I can joke about it.
Great.
But I actually do think it's a flawed film. I think it's melodrama.
It's not.
There's a lot of that's Spielberg's whole thing is melodrama, right? I mean,
and this is part of why I picked Schindler's List. Is that or Saving Private Ryan? Is that I have a not small amount that I could say about what I don't love about most Spielberg dramas.
Sure.
I think The Fabelmans is overrated. I think West Side Story last year is overrated. I
loved West Side Story.
Sure, agreed to disagree. It's fine. I'm sorry.
It's
I
theater, it's costumes, it's dancing, it's singing, it's love, it's death.
And to me, it was a cheesier version of the original. To me, so I think Spielberg is a genius with adventure and action.
Yeah.
A genius. And he captures it with the camera beautifully. I think he's better with story than he is with character. And with action and adventure, that doesn't matter. And with drama, that matters. And I wasn't drawn into the characters in West Side Story last year nearly as much as the original because they all felt cardboard cutout versions of those.
You didn't
roles.
like Ansel Elgort. I feel like we talked about
I
this
can't stand
one
him.
time.
He's terrible. Yeah. I mean, what's her? The Ariana DeBose who won. She was great, and Rachel Zegler was fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just overall, it just felt the vibe of it all was glossy and cheesy and two dimensional. And
but it's a Broadway musical, so glossy and cheesy kind of comes with the territory.
But it doesn't have to. The original West Side Story is genius.
But the original West Side Story has, it's not glossy maybe because it's shot in the 60s.
Right.
Sure. Before glossy was really a thing.
Right. And I think I'm overly sensitive to gloss is part of it.
Do not buy this man lipstick of any kind. Okay. So Spielberg,
I even found Fabelman's
Spielberg is, I will say about Spielberg, I thought I hated his movies for a long time before I finally started to kind of come around and love them. I watched E.T. 8 times in the theater
E.T.
when
is
I was
genius.
a kid. And I was like, this is amazing. This is
right.
one of the reasons why I fell in love with movies. But then when I was a teenager, I started watching the Kubrick movies and the Hitchcock movies, and I was kind of left Spielberg behind and like, oh, that's like for kids, But then maybe when I became a little more like older, grown up, I started thinking, oh, well, actually these Spielberg movies are pretty good. So
I hear
I've gotten the full
E.T. I love. Jurassic Park's incredible. E.T. and Jaws is great. E.T. I love, and that's like, it's an adventure, but it's like kind of a drama, right? And the drama lands with me because you find it through the adventure. And Munich is a drama that works for me because it's a drama that really functions more as a thriller.
Yeah.
And he's great at capturing that.
E.T. Have you watched E.T. recently? Because it is really long. I loved it as a kid, but man, it's a long movie. And people are complaining about 3-hour movies these days. E.T. is like almost 3 hours. And for a kid's movie, it's like...
I hear it. Saving Private Ryan was the same year as The Thin Red Line. The Thin Red Line is one of my favorite movies. Top
Thin Red Line is incredible.
It's incredible.
Well, and you're right. The Thin Red Line and Saving Private Ryan came out same year.
Yep.
Two totally opposite
approaches.
On World War II.
Exactly.
And one lyrical, beautiful, incredibly cinematic.
Right.
Very, but also like... deep and kind of thoughtful.
And it gets inside the souls of the soldiers.
Right.
Whereas Saving Private Ryan, after an incredible opening sequence that's incredibly shot and incredibly breathtaking, it then is Tom Hanks and his soldiers, his group of men just going off to save Matt Damon. And I didn't feel like I knew any of the characters or cared and was mildly interested in the plot, and that's Saving Private Ryan. And everyone complains about how this goes down in history as one of the greatest, mistakes by the Academy to give Best Picture to Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan. And that's part of why I bring it up, is to say, like, not that that's the most overrated film of all time, but that to consider it better than Shakespeare in Love is one of the most wildly wrong opinions I have ever heard.
Have you watched Shakespeare in Love recently?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By recently, I mean 2004.
Okay, yeah. I wonder.
Which is not that recent, I recognize.
Post Me Too, if you'd watch Shakespeare in Love with a different.
Okay,
lens.
04 is not recent, is it?
It's like
you might be right.
post Harvey Weinstein, explosion.
Sure.
And I think
sure.
knowing what we know now about what was going on.
Sure.
That is a whole different way of watching that
Sure, but still, the film itself, if you remove that, stands on its own as something that geniusly dissected Shakespeare and delivered us a Shakespearean story with Shakespearean energy made by non-Shakespeares.
Yeah.
That like reimagined many Shakespeare plots interwoven together to deliver its own new story with magical energy and just a vibe to it with the cinematography and music and performances that is just breathtaking.
Anybody who's ever read a Shakespeare play and loved it, or been a part of a Shakespeare play and loved it, Shakespeare in Love is the place to be. Yeah, and
I was in 12th Night months before I saw that movie, and I was just like,
what role did you play?
I had 4 lines as a servant. Curio.
Yeah,
but
talking about underappreciated, 12th Night.
Yeah,
man. That is a great play.
Oh, it's my favorite Shakespeare play.
It's one of those that people don't even know what that's about.
No, and some people do the play and they're just like, it's fun, and that's all they do with it.
It's all about it's basically the first trans character ever written, kind of, right? I mean, it's all about a woman who dresses as a man. Most of the play.
Yeah. I mean. I guess we don't say transvestite anymore, but that's technically what it is. Not transgender, but it's and that's what's so captured well in Shakespeare in Love is there's a new story of someone needing to go undercover as the other gender for a reason, and in that case, it's the reason of being able to perform in a play. Right. How meta is it? It's so genius.
Yeah.
I love that movie more than I love any Shakespeare.
Well, what's your Gwyneth Paltrow stance? Because I don't care. People are polarized about her.
I think she's great in that movie. Outside of that movie,
probably is her best role.
Oh
of
yeah,
all time.
Best role, best performance. She'll never do anything better. Never has. No, whatever. Everyone in the cast, though. I mean, Jeffrey Rush is firing on all cylinders in that movie. Tom Wilkinson is the apothecary. People didn't know who he was at the time.
Yeah.
The man who's so excited to wear his blue hat in the play.
Okay, wait, I have one more that I've got to get your opinion on before we finish the podcast, because actually I was wanting to ask your opinion on this, but I personally love Moulin Rouge. Love it. It's like one of my... I just love this movie. I go back to watch it every so often when it's on, and I'm just like, oh, this is like
it's so good.
It's candy. It's for visual candy. It's just... But also feels like... It's got great moments when he does the song Roxanne with the tango. Oh. My daughter's name is Roxanne.
Oh, yeah,
Just it melts me. But anyway, I have a family love and lore in my family love of Elvis. And my mother-in-law is obsessed is not a strong enough word to describe her feelings about Elvis. She loves Elvis, has seen the movie Elvis in the theater 13 times, I think.
13 times?
I think that's right, yeah. When Lisa Marie died the other day, she almost had a heart attack. I mean, it was like national news. So I thought Elvis was pretty great. I really liked Elvis. I don't know that it's got a chance to win Best Picture, but I thought it was like a totally great movie and very Baz,
Yeah.
Do you have a take on that?
B-.
B-. Oh my God. Based on what?
I thought that there was a lot to like, had a lot of energy to it, and conveyed the just roller coaster of a life that Elvis lived.
Totally. Rags to riches, great American story.
In a very interesting way.
Yeah.
I thought Austin Butler was terrific.
Yeah.
And I generally like the energy that Baz brings to filmmaking. I don't know that I've liked any of his movies aside from Moulin Rouge, but I haven't seen them all.
Romeo and Juliet?
I got to see that again. I saw it in the theaters as a kid.
Oh my God, that is a great movie.
No, I saw it in the theaters at age 15, and I was
rock and
an
roll
idiot.
movie.
Yeah, I'm dying to see it again.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll like it. Yeah.
Take some cocaine and watch Romeo
my God,
and Juliet.
That's not a thing I'll do, but sure.
Bullshit!
Like Great Gatsby, I didn't really care for.
Great Gatsby
yeah, and I didn't see Australia. And that might be it. I never saw Strictly Ballroom.
Yeah.
But I felt like Elvis was all flash and not a lot of substance.
Oh.
And I, as a result, felt like what's his name? Austin Butler's performance was great, but only as good as it could be, with the movie only delivering the flash and not the substance. I feel like there wasn't enough mining of his psychology in the movie, and Tom Hanks was distractingly terrible.
Right. Well,
those are my thoughts.
You're a Tom Hanks hater, is what we found out tonight. You are the one man in America who doesn't like Tom Hanks.
Oh God, no, that feels wrong because of how much I
Jeez.
loved him in Big and Forrest Gump. I mean, he's like my man, really, actually. But yeah, no, I have not loved a lot of his stuff post
Bosom
post
Buddies.
Forrest Gump. But I grew up watching that. I love him in Castaway. So
Wait, one of
Can I
my
just
all-time
jump in
greatest.
that I grew up in Studio City, where Bosom Buddies was shot, and I sold him shoes at Big Five. That was my high school job. Was selling
wow.
shoes at Big Five. When Tom Hanks was on Bosom Buddies, I sold him shoes. I would say that he suffers the curse of the Oscar curse, right? He won a couple Oscars in a row, and ever since then, they put him in the wrong kind of movies for him.
yeah, only I think 3 nominations since then. He's just I find that he often just plays these sort of boring roles lately and does them in boring ways. But A Man Called Otto, it was actually good, and he was good.
I will just add on back to our actual task at hand here is underappreciated movies. Joe versus the Volcano is a fucking gem. That is just a beautiful, outstanding, great ride of a movie. I love that movie, watching it every time it's on. I've showed it to my kids. My kids love it. Joe versus the Volcano fucking slaps.
I'll add that to the list of movies to watch with my nieces and nephews who are in their young teens.
It's legit.
I saw it as a kid in the theaters, and I recall thinking it was at least fine. I don't remember. I mean, I enjoyed it as a 10-year-old or whatever.
Written by a playwright whose name I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's just like stylized and over the top and weird, and Tom Hanks is great in it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Someone was.
It was written by the guy that wrote Five Corners and stuff, right? I'm going to look it up.
his
Five
name.
Corners. I don't know what that is. Someone was telling me recently that they're like, you know what has been overlooked is Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah.
It might have been you.
Oh, maybe it was me.
I don't remember.
Yeah, John Patrick Shanley.
John Patrick Shanley. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But to circle back, your overrated pick is Saving Private Ryan,
Sure.
right?
And I
that's the one?
considered saying Raging Bull as another one that I don't like.
Oh. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Didn't like it. Didn't care for it.
Okay, we're gonna fight.
It was a marital fight. I'm leaving you. Never mind, I'm going to stay. I'm leaving you. Never mind, I'm going to stay. Over and over and over and over again. And I got really tired of it at minute 23, let alone hour 2.5.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on Raging Bull. Hot
Okay,
take. Goodbye.
Okay. Mic dropped. The thing about Raging Bull, just since we're playing opposing parts of each movie here, is I think Raging Bull is way too long and kind of like Scorsese in that phase where he's like, I can do anything and get away with anything. I'm just gonna fucking ride this thing.
Yep.
Because why the hell not?
Yep.
But it's the cinematographer there who's in there shooting those fight scenes and the way he's moving the camera around. It was something that people just weren't doing. It's a very Boz kind of sensibility of overly stylized camera movement that just really wasn't a thing in Hollywood before that. And people saw that movie and they were like, well, shit, I can do that, and people are into that, and yeah, let's go for that. And because it was shot like an indie with like such a low budget compared to a normal Hollywood stylized movie, they could just do that, and those moments where they're slowing the frame rate, or the speeding the frame rate up so that the movie turns into slow motion in the middle of a boxing fight when he's weaving and standing there against his main opponent and then punches him right in the face.
Right.
I mean, it's not to me like an emotional movie. I don't really care about the character at all.
Right.
And I think
Same.
yeah. But on a stylistic filmmaking level, it's
I don't remember. I saw it when I was 19, and all I remember is being bored by their relationship and not excited about anything. But I believe you on that. Yeah.
I think one of my top 3 greatest movies of all time is Goodfellas.
I love Goodfellas.
Yeah. And I think
love...
he put a lot of those moves that he was developing in Goodfellas, those came out of the work that he was doing in Raging Bull. So I see that as like a stepping stone kind of thing.
Sure.
You know?
Goodfellas is my favorite Scorsese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down, me too.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible.
I would say Goodfellas maybe is even better than The Godfather. I don't know.
Liked it better.
Maybe that's
I liked it better.
People, you want to fight me, but Goodfellas.
I love The Godfather though. Although hot take, I love I saw The Godfather in like 97 maybe, and I don't really remember it, and I needed to see it again. I'd never seen part 2 ever.
Oh, part 2 is better.
I have now. Well, hold on. No. So during COVID, I was like, I want to see part 2, but I don't remember part 1, so I'll watch part 1 again.
Yeah.
I watched part 1. I gave it an A. I loved it.
Yeah.
I watched part 2. B.
Oh, come on!
Didn't care.
By the way, Tommy and I agree on everything. I don't have to say anything because you're speaking for me.
Thank you. Yes. Wow.
Godfather 2 would probably be my overrated because of people who say it's better than the first.
Yeah. Right.
Dude, they go back to like the 1800s. There's like there's all that.
And why? I don't. Everything that was so nuanced and interesting about part 1 just got dissipated in part 2, and I didn't care about anybody.
Like running along the rooftops and hunting
love that
guy
sequence.
down.
I love that sequence.
It's beautiful.
But then like it was in that sequence where I was like, oh, I can see why people like this movie and why Robert De Niro won an Oscar. Yeah. And then the sequence was over and nothing interesting happened again for the rest of the movie, and I was like, wait, what? I don't understand.
And Michael Corleone, he's in Cuba and he's the one guy who thinks the rebels might win. Like, I don't know, I'm over it.
Yeah. Oh my God. High five. I never saw part 3. I don't need to. I'm good.
Yeah,
I agree with you on something else controversial. I didn't bother getting in my agreement, but I've been agreeing with everything.
Okay, I'm outnumbered.
Sweet.
Oh yeah, Private Ryan. I'm with you on Private Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I don't get it.
Did we answer all of the questions?
No, there's 4.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
Number 4 is a lesser-known film for people to seek out.
Lesser-known film for people.
Oh my God, I have so many answers.
What qualifies as lesser known?
I joke sometimes. I'm not. There's not a black and white shirt. I don't have a whistle. Like there's no referee.
Can I give you 4? Can I give you 4?
Oh my God! Wow.
Can I give you 4?
All right.
Well, 5 if we count The Fall, but I already mentioned it.
Okay, you already done that.
Okay. One is Come On, my favorite movie of last year. Joaquin Phoenix, black and white.
Yeah.
Mike Mills movie, the director of 20th Century Women and Beginners, which won Christopher Plummer's Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix as an uncle taking care of his nephew while his sister's dealing with some stuff. And it's beautiful. To me, it's beautiful. The cinematography and the music and how the story. I've already mentioned music and cinematography on this podcast. You can tell I'm a sucker for it. But when they're utilized to serve a story so well, that movie cracked my soul open, and I just felt I would like breathe in the soul of the movie through the violin strings or whatever the hell instrument it was.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. Because he's like, oh, you'll love this. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but Beginners is one of mine. I think that's a perfect film.
Oh, I like it. I don't love it. Have you seen 20th Century Women?
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh my God, just watch them in order. I love 20th Century Women. But what you'll love about Come On, I just said Come On 3 times. The movie's called Come On, only 2 Come Ons. Wow. Right. I just got excited. Is that Joaquin Phoenix is a radio journalist with a podcast. And what he's in the middle of doing when he has to like deal with taking care of his nephew is he's interviewing kids around the country about what they think is like what they like about the world and where they think the world is going and things like that. And he has to like bring his nephew with him while he's doing these interviews. And it's not a big part of the movie, but it is part of like the sort of backbone and structure of the movie, these interviews. And he interviewed real kids. And the way that the story of him taking care of his nephew pairs with the content of these real children talking about their lives and dreams and whatnot, it's beautiful. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It hit me in my uncle spot. I'm an uncle. So there's that. Okay, 3 more. Patriots Day, the Boston Marathon bombing movie from 2016 with Mark Wahlberg. I'm telling you, it is vastly under...
Mark Wahlberg?
I know. I know.
Playing a New Englander.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? No.
Gosh, what an acting
Peter Berg, Peter Berg, who made all these, like, he did Deepwater Horizon, and it's like, that's fine, but it's not like high art. Right. And Patriots Day isn't high art, but I'm telling you, it is funny, thrilling, dramatic. It's it's a 3-quadrant hit. If you're
Are you
talking
going to
about,
give us like late Clint Eastwood next or something like that?
No, dear God, no. Oh my God, $1 Million Baby. $1 Million Baby is my real answer to the question of most overrated movie. Dear God, what was that movie doing winning Best Picture? Oh my God, so bad. Okay, anyway, I just surprisingly good Patriots Day. Just surprisingly effective in all the ways. The Paper with Michael Keaton, 1994. The Day in the Life of a Newspaper Editor, written by David Koepp. I think it's pronounced Koepp. He wrote Jurassic Park, screenplay,
25th Hour,
and Mission Impossible.
Yeah, right.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
It's just the day in the life of a newspaper editor, and Robert Duvall is his boss, and Glenn Close is his sort of boss.
I ever saw
Marissa
that.
Tomei is his wife.
But
Randy
I've seen
Quaid
that
is his
poster or whatever. I've seen
right hand man.
Yeah.
The poster. It's like 5 of them standing in a newspaper place, and it's like it's a drama, but it's like really light and it's sort of like pre-Sorkin, Aaron Sorkin-esque energy.
Michael Keaton is all. I mean,
he's great, and he's great in that world.
It's
just a stressful day for this guy balancing life and work and trying to get everything right, and it's just totally entertaining. The dialogue snaps.
Yeah.
And the camera has an energy to it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
What was the name of that early Michael Keaton movie that was super like over the top humor where he plays like a gangster in the 20s or something like that?
Johnny Dangerously?
Johnny Dangerously.
Never saw it.
I watched that movie when I was 12, probably 50 times.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Such a, like, classic cheeseball humor, but he is so underappreciated. Man, I think the Birdman movie that he was in.
Oh my God!
Incredible.
No, that's that's like one of my artistic inspirations.
Good.
It's incredible. He killed it. He was.
He's been in some lemons, but like
for sure,
he's a man who's just like
he brings it.
But he's never bad in those bad films. He's still. No, I think he was. I think he's kind of flawless, and even when he disappeared for a while from, I think it was cocaine addiction, probably kept him off the sets for a little while. He's when they like brought him back, like when Birdman was like Michael Keaton's back. I'm like, what are you talking about? This guy's always been amazing.
Yeah. He's always amazing, and like the Paper is like kind of like not that challenging a role on surface level, but he makes that movie. He kills it.
Huge, like, breadth. Like a guy who can be Mr. Mom, but also Batman.
Totally.
But also Beetlejuice.
Totally.
The guy has a lot of different, like, things that he can fire on.
Yeah, and he's rarely really just, like, playing. I mean, he has... I was going to say he's rarely really, like, playing himself. He kind of is in Birdman, because it's, like... story-wise really himself, but it's like it's a darker thing.
Yeah.
And he's sort of playing him, he's playing a very subdued, sort of straight and narrow character in Spotlight. But The Paper is like he's just kind of himself but having fun, but just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And I think that's the movie I've seen the most number of times in my life. Maybe The Fugitive, maybe Dumb and Dumber, but I think it's The Paper, and it's in my top 12-ish, and I recommend it.
Okay.
My last recommendation is The 5 Obstructions. It is a documentary with Lars von Trier. Do we know Lars von Trier, who made Dance in the Dark, Dogville, both on my top list of all time, which this movie is not. But maybe it should be. I don't have any documentaries on my top list. So it's Lars von Trier. Apparently his mentor was a guy named Jorgen Leff. And Jorgen Leff made a short film in like the 70s called The Perfect Human or something like that. Oh, perfect. Something like that. And the movie opens up with them meeting, and they're just like catching up as old friends. And protege Lars von Trier is like, "Hey, mentor friend, I've got a challenge for you. I want you to remake that movie 5 times, and each time I'm going to give you a different set of obstacles that you have to accomplish. You'll remake the same story, but say the first one, for example, you have to have no shot that is more than 8 frames or something like that." Or no
shot that's more than 8 frames.
Something like that. Something just insane, right?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, all right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And every time he comes back with like some way of making the movie where he like got around the obstacles, and he's like, okay, you keep finding creative ways, but I really want to see if I can, challenge you to make even a bad film maybe, but just like, it's really interesting watching their sort of battle over the art and the protege trying to like almost in a weird sick way destroy his mentor and like forcing him to make a bad movie, but more just like them enjoying the protege giving the mentor these obstacles to see what creativity comes from it. And I find the movie tremendously inspiring in terms of how obstacles create art. right? Obstacles push you to find creative solutions that actually often improve the story you're telling, or at least the way you're telling it and how it lands. And I want to end on that because that's all what it's about, right? Finding those solutions, which we did on set and we all do as artists, and that drives me as an artist.
Nice. Well, I'll just add to that. I think on this last podcast that we did, one of my most recommends or most underappreciated was a movie that I saw last year called The Worst Person in the World, which was a Dogma 95 movie and made by a young, I think, Von Trier's son or nephew or something like that. And I've been obsessed with it and talking about it as often as I can because I think it's brilliant and so good. And this movie all about this female character who I just loved and thought was amazing. So
boring.
Okay.
I think I give it like a C+.
Jesus.
But I hear you. I don't see why people liked it, but I support you in liking it.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's been on my list to watch because a few other people have named it as their underrated or lesser known to seek out, and I've been dying to watch it.
If you agree with everything Tommy says, you'll probably hate it. So maybe don't listen to my recommendation, but maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Why not?
I got to have some overlap. I've got overlap with you too, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of territory here.
Yeah.
We went.
I mean, I could talk about movies
eras.
forever. And
yeah.
we 9:47. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is we're creeping up on an hour, but it's fun.
Yeah, we're having fun.
And it's funny because the 4 questions is like supposed to be the quick in and out, nobody gets hurt.
right.
Podcast episode.
You picked the wrong podcast guest for that version.
We're both in pain. No.
Yeah.
Well, and here I was willing to have you name all 47 because I figured, well, that'll only take like 2 minutes. But no,
No,
okay.
I can't mention a movie and not talk about it forever.
Oh,
DickiePicks.com, go to the archives in the upper right, and you'll click, and then you'll see Top 47.
All right, well, you just named your .com. All the social media handles and websites will be clickable in the show notes. So people just go to the show notes. You can learn way more about these two and their films. Right. Now there's a lot of pressure on Chris to on his website to come up with a list of favorites.
Top 47. Yeah, I need my own. God, somebody's got to stand up for Steven Spielberg around here.
I appreciate him.
For real. Spielberg needs more love.
Yeah, he's not getting enough flattery. No. People kissing his ass. He needs more.
But I will name all the websites and shit. Okay, so this is the Discover Indie Film Podcast. If you want to learn more about the podcast or the TV series on Amazon Prime Video that it gave birth to, just go to discoverindiefilm.com. Oh yeah, like and subscribe. If you want to go to social media, it's at DIFWins. And like I said, I mentioned Amazon Prime Video. Just go to Prime Video on a nice big TV, not your phone. If you got to use your phone, fine. But nice big TV, go to the Prime Video app, type in Discover Indie Film in search. It'll auto-complete somewhere along the way because it's just us, and Discover India is like a documentary that sometimes auto-completes. But as soon as you get that I in indie, it auto-completes. So watch that if you want to see.
The second I.
Yes, of course. The second, third, I don't know how many eyes are in Discover Indie Film. But, and you can see the first short of Chris's I ever saw, Breyer's Cucumber Tostinos, is in season 6, episode 1. And the film that Chris and Tommy worked on together, The Perfect First Date, it'll probably be on there. I'm thinking season 9. I know people. I can get this done.
Sweet. We're down.
And their film, The Perfect First Date, was at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. It's how I met both of you. So if you want to learn more about that festival we hold every November, go to, ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. I looked at Chris like you've got this stuff memorized. And it's on a sheet in front of me, but my glasses are on my head. Now I can see.
On the part of your head that doesn't have your eyes.
That's right.
But now it's on the part that does have your eyes. Well done.
And the sister festival is Film Invasion Los Angeles, which we hold every June. And you can learn more if you go to filminvasionla.com or at filminvasionla on social media. And yeah, I mentioned at the top that The Perfect First Date is also on Hi TV. So if you go to watchhitv.com, WATCHHITV.com, or you can just on any smart TV or mobile device, as in smartphone, just go to your app store and type in Hi TV. Tommy, Chris, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you everyone for listening.